what I would do. So this is the Revit file. And in this project browser, you see that we have different things. One of the things that we have are reports. Do you have this load report? You have it? Okay, so those load report, you can click on one of them. I was used to these files, but this is the 2020 version, I think, of the load report. So I have opened this file, or I created this file with the 2020. I created this load report, but we don't have this information anymore. So if you open 2022 and you want to create another load report, you won't find this format. I liked it. So, well, I liked it. At least I was used to this format, and now the new format is different. So I'm sorry, but we are going to select all loads reports, and we have to delete it. Okay, so make sure that you don't have any loads report there, because what we are going to do now is to analyze different cases, because that's the other thing. I told you that if we don't want to be very accurate, we have to be conservative, model something that is worse than the actual building. But even if we are very accurate and we spend thousands of hours in creating the most accurate model that we can imagine, believe me, do not trust on the numbers for any software. Revit is not great. It's not great. I mean, if you really want to have a career in the building simulation industry, you can use Revit, and they will, okay, Revit, yeah, but especially engineers, they will say, yeah, Revit is for architects. It's not a good tool for, and they're right. Okay, so it's not the best tool for energy simulation. But at least I don't believe in the final result. I don't believe on the final number. I believe in trends. Okay, so if you are taking some measures and the energy performance is getting better, okay, so we are going in the right direction. Then we can save 20% or 25% or 22 or 19. But if you see that the trend is around 20% of savings, we can rely on that. So to be sure, we have to use different energy simulation tools, or we can use the same tool with different options. And then if by using one tool, we find out that one option is the best, that option will be the best in different simulation tools. Okay, so we can be sure of that. And then if we use Revit, maybe the final savings are 25%. And if we use another software, more advanced in terms of energy simulation, maybe the savings are 19%. Okay, but we know that the solution that we have that is the best in Revit will be the best in other softwares as well. So that's what I believe. I believe in trends. Okay, so take different measures, design different things, try different options, run all these options on the same software, and then select the best. And then to be sure, run the best option on a different software. If you have 3, 4 different softwares, and at the end you have the same version running on different softwares, then you can have an idea of what you are doing. Again, it takes forever. And it depends on if we're working in a company that it's not devoted to this energy efficiency, energy simulation, nobody does it. But now there are companies, engineering firms or architectural firms that get the design from the architectural company or from the architect, and then they start running different energy simulations because energy savings are important in that project. Okay, so depending on who's our boss or who are working for, then we have to use some tools or other tools, or we can use Revit just for designing, or we can use Revit for simulating, or we can use Revit for different things. Anyway, the first thing is to make sure that the Revit simulation is accurate. And for, okay, so we have deleted all the reports. And now, do you have this tab here? Do you have schedules and quantities? Do you have space schedule 1, 2, 3, or whatever? Okay, so click on one of them, space schedule. And that's interesting because here you see that we have lobby not computed, outdoor flow, area, name, and then we have space. So we have a lot of information about the spaces. Okay. In schedule 2, we have the same spaces, but only the actual exhaust air. Okay. In space schedule 3, we have a lobby, number, whatever, and plenum. Okay. That's important to understand because spaces, we're going to use spaces for energy simulation. So open level 0. And on level 0, if we don't see spaces, it's because the visibility graphics spaces. Okay, so we have everything here. We have color, interior, reference. So when we're working with spaces, you have to make sure that in visibility graphics, we have the 3 things on color, interior, and reference. Okay, so click OK. And if we want to place spaces, we have to go to Analyze. And here you see that we have space, space separator, tag, and whatever. So select space. Would you like to, this is the space tag, click no, it's not relevant so far. And okay, so we have created 5 spaces automatically, but I don't want that. Level 10. Level 12, section 1. Okay, so click on section 1 and see what happens here. You see this green thing is the space, and sometimes on level 0 we don't see that space because in the section, well, it's there, but probably the cut plane for level 0 is here and we don't see the space. If we select the space here, the first thing we can do, we'll go from level 0 and the top is level 12, but here we have a false ceiling. Okay, let's work with this. Select that space and here we have the upper limit and we can select level 10, for example. You see? And if we do this, I wouldn't do any offset. So I would click 0 here. And that space, select it, and the upper limit, make it level 12. And this offset is 0. Okay, if we do this now and we open this level 0, we can see the spaces there. We don't see spaces here and here and here. If we move this section 1, we have the same issue with that space. Okay, so we have to move it to level 10 and 0. And then if we are working with section 2, yeah, we have the same issue. So move it level 10, 0. And finally, yeah, I want to see this section 2, level 12. So now on level 0, we see all the spaces, but as you can see, it's something tricky, and we sometimes we create spaces and we don't see them, and we create the space again and we don't see the space, and then we create the space again, and sometimes we create 3 spaces on the same room. That's totally wrong. Okay, so when we are working with spaces, we have to be very, very careful. Because now, and before creating a space, we have to be very careful with naming it. I told you many times that one of the most important things on earth is giving names to things, children, animals, buildings, whatever. Okay, we have to give them names, because otherwise we find 10 children and we don't have any name. So what do? We have 10 buildings, we have 10 files, and if we don't have the right name, we get lost. With spaces, it's the same. If the building is complicated, here we have 5 spaces. It's not a big deal. But imagine this building, each room is a space. So if we model the building, we create spaces, and then we try to analyze, we will find space 1, 2, 3, 4, 100. And how the hell I can understand what kind of space I'm working with? So make sure that when we are creating spaces, you select it, and then we name it. Where we can name the space? Somewhere, yes. So look at this. We have number, and the name is space. Okay, so now when we're analyzing this building, is this the space B21, 29? What's this? So I recommend you, every time we create a space, name it. Lobby. And then if I create that space, this is B33. So let's name it as, I don't know, if this is a mechanical room. Then if that's another space, so this can be office 1. And this can be office 2. And meeting room. Okay. Yep.
I'm not seeing the spaces for the 2nd and 4th room. I think I missed the step for like allowing them.
Move the section. No.
Right.
Move it here.
Oh.
Yes, select it, move it, and now open section 1 again. So you have to check different sections, and if it doesn't show up, it's probably because the space is too low. So that's important. We create the space, we have to check that the space there. So open the section and look at this. Do you have something like that? I sometimes, without noticing, I should have created a space. So I have created 2 spaces on the same room. So that's what I told you, that this is totally wrong. And we have to be very careful. That space is space B32, and this one is office 1. Okay, so at least by naming spaces, I can find out what space is the right one and what space is the wrong one. So delete it. And now we have to check in all the sections that we don't have those spaces. Apparently here we don't have it. And here, apparently. This. Page 12. Filter spaces. Okay, this is office 2. And this should be the lobby. Okay, we have to be very careful because it's very easy making mistakes, especially when we are assigning space. We click, nothing happens because probably the view range is not the right one. And then we click again, and we have 2 or more than 2 spaces on the same room. And that will cause a lot of trouble. Okay, so make sure that we are very careful creating spaces. Again, if we have this building, it's easy to find out if we have any mistakes. But if we have a building with thousands of spaces, now it's impossible. So make sure that every time you create a space, you name it. And then, but it's not enough. We have created spaces, we have deleted them, but it's not enough. So let's delete all the schedules here. And then we're going to start from scratch, okay? So right click on schedules and create a new schedule quantities. Okay. And we want to create a schedule with spaces because we are going to assign all the thermal loads and all the CFM, the ventilation, everything we have to assign to different spaces. So if we click a new schedule, we have to select the category spaces, click OK. And now we are going to assign what we want to know about that space. One of the things we should know is the area. So double click area. And now you see that here we are creating a schedule with space in the area. One of the things that we know is the name. So make sure that you always create the name. And then since we are working with thermal properties, we might be interested in the number of people, in the heating loads. Okay, but so far the area, the name, and the number of people is enough. So let's create OK. And now we have a schedule. And we see the mess that we have done. Okay, first, we have two spaces by the name of lobby. We have space without any name. And then we have spaces with office one, space, mechanical room. Yeah, so this is what we have done. But what if we have two lobbies? The problem is that when you delete a space in Revit, the space is not deleted. It's there. You don't see it, but in terms of the system, it's already there. So if we want to get rid of spaces for good, we have to do it here. We have to do it with a schedule. So now, if this space doesn't have any name, now we can right-click and delete row. Okay, and now we have deleted that space. What do I recommend you? When you have this mess, start from scratch. So select all the spaces, delete row. Okay, and now we don't, especially when we receive a file that it's not ours. We don't know what the other has done. Maybe they have created spaces and they are not even aware of that. Okay, so the first, if you have schedules, create a schedule, select spaces, and then delete all of them. And when we are with a blank slate, now I can start creating spaces, and I have space. And this is now, before doing that, we can understand what it takes. We are on level 0. The upper limit is level 0 and the offset is 2. So that's why it was a space this high. Okay, change it beforehand. Make the space up to level 10 and make this offset 0. And now we can create that space. And you see that now we can control it. Okay, so we can create 1. And after creating that space, make sure that you name it. It's not space, it's the mechanical room. And now we go to space again. We create this one. This is office 1. And now that one is office 2. And this is office. Office 3. Ah, this is space. I didn't rename that one. Office 2. And now the lobby. If we go to the section, we know that we have a false ceiling here, so that space goes from level 0 to level 10, but the lobby goes from level 0 to level 12. Okay, so if we are here, we select the space, the upper limit is level 12, and now we create this one, and now this is the lobby. Okay. So make sure we select this one, mechanical room. This is office 1, the office 2, office 3, and lobby. And now when we create a new schedule, select space, select the area, the name, area, double click. Area name is enough so far. Let's create the schedule, and now everything is there. So we have the mechanical room, office 1, office 2, office 3, and the lobby. Okay, so now we can start running a simulation. Okay, we can start, but we run out of time. So we will do this on Wednesday. But on Wednesday, be prepared because you will have to use term. And at the end of the Wednesday or on Thursday by the weekend, you will have to submit 2 files, something about term. And I want this file in Revit ready to run the simulations. So make sure that all the spaces, well, the spaces are, we only have 5 spaces. And I have to show you something different because in this file, in the section, you see that we have a false ceiling here, and we have to work with that space too. We don't have time today, but this is the first thing I will explain on Wednesday, okay? But make sure that you have a schedule, and in that schedule, we have just 5 spaces with a name that we can understand what kind of room or what kind of space we're working with. And that's it. See you on Wednesday.